Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm KermMartian, and this is Train Simulator 2017. Press T to open your doors and let the passengers on. Important, whenever you see an orange signal, one orange, start slowing down at 15 miles an hour. Make sure you drive 15 miles an hour at 0.2 miles before you reach the next red signal. Otherwise, the emergency brakes will be triggered. If the signal shows one orange, then apply above again. If you see two oranges, you can likely accelerate. So, we are on the East Coast Main Line, London to Peterborough. And look at our train. This is the... Let me open my doors while I talk about this. This is the CPRR HST. I started building it during my reskin repaint tutorial last week. I then finished it up over the weekend, republished that tutorial, and here it is again. Doors are closed, and we are nearly ready to head off at 3 o'clock p.m. And we will take a look at this beautiful train along the way, all maroon, gold, and black. So let's get into the first car. Full power, forward, clear the AWS, release our brakes, and get going. And I think a bit of a watching it depart is in order. Let's stand over here and watch it depart. Oh yes, headlights also are something we need, by the way. Yes. Yes. Let's get some power. Look at that beautiful train. I can't wait to tell you more about it as we go. In the meantime, I should remind you that this is episode 30 of my Train Simulator 2017 series. Somehow we've gotten all the way to episode 30, to my great happiness and some surprise, actually. This is also KermMartian Live number 20. Those of you on YouTube will never have seen KermMartian Live number 19, because it was the episode last week where I started teaching reskinning and repainting before I decided, well, we're about speed, that I would just redo it as a video where I sat by myself rather than having an audience, and did it a little bit more organizedly. Got our windshield wipers on for the snow here. We've got a class 365 over there, very nice. Let's put our windshield wipers on medium, I think. Can we? Maybe not. Maybe not indeed. Well, anyway, let's go up to 105 miles an hour. I think the proper thing to do here is full power. Yes. And off we go. I'm going to keep filling with these windshield wipers because it's really bothering me that the slow setting's not working. So, our next stop is Stevenage Platform 2 in 48.15 miles. So we have a ways to go here in our HST today. I know, all the way to number 30. Yeah, so it should come as no great surprise that I'm pretty fond of maroon, gold, and black. The Central Park Railroad theme really should be maroon, gold, and black. The actual logo of the CPRR was designed to be bright red and bright blue, a set of 4 arrows, as those of you who are on my reskin repaint video stream will have seen. I think it's screenshot time, by the way, because look at this. But I had to apply the same color scheme that I used on CPRR1, my locomotive / private train car prototype that I modeled with a class 801. I had to use that, so I think it looks pretty spiffy. I think it looks pretty spiffy indeed. It was not the easiest thing to put together, but I'm very happy with how I'm very happy with how it turned out. Power! Yeah, I love that engine sound as well, especially when it spools up. That really makes me happy. Well, we're heading along up to 115 miles an hour with a fully loaded HST. This is low power car, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and another power car. 8-car train with 2 power cars. I expect the class 43 to take some time to get all the way up to speed. Technically, the top speed of the HST is 125 miles an hour. In service, it has gotten up to 147, I think, miles an hour in the past on a speed run. So that's pretty exciting. But I think that was with a minimal set of coaches. So we have a pretty easy schedule today. I replicated a scenario that I got on the Steam workshop that will take us all the way from Peterborough through Stevenage to London's King's Cross, stopping at just those 3 stations along the way. So it's a very much express service, as you'd expect from the HST, our class 43 that we have here. I was just thinking to myself as I was putting this together today that I need to make sure that I go and visit England before the HST is retired, because that would be a real shame to miss out on the 40 years of HST history, especially considering of how much of its life has overlapped with my own. It is older than me, significantly, but not, I won't be super specific about that. Anyway, so I would like to ride the HSTs before they're retired, especially as the, hello, that's a classic ECML HST there. Although I think a lot of the HSTs on here might be in various other liveries now, like Grand Central, that Train Simulator does not have yet. I think this scenario, oops, we're speeding. Look at that. We should power down to 100. Put a little bit of braking on. This scenario, I believe, came out in 2014. This route. So they have not updated the rolling stock for all the newest livery. There we go, back under the speed limit. Not sure why it goes from 105 to 100 for this stretch, but there we go. Next stop is Stilton Fen up emergency crossover. Luckily we have no emergency, so we don't need to emergency crossover. Sailing straight through here. And we can now get back up to speed. Yes, listen to that. Yes. So what else is new in the world of trains? I've seen more excellent Amtrak videos on Facebook that seem to be targeting me. It's almost like they know I love trains. About all the things that it wants to work on, from building the new Portal Bridge to improving the stations along the northeast corridor. See if we can get the whistles by the book today. Blowing the whistle for crossings. I know I'm doing US style whistles, and I apologize for that. I forget what the correct whistle sequence is to use in England. That was an AWS ramp right there. And we are speeding ever so slightly. Let's do something. Oh, no, we're not. Now we're in 125 zone. I thought we were going to make it to that 125 before we started speeding, but alas. Alas and alack, we did not. Hello there, Class 365. I'll blow my horn at you too. Do some trackside videoing, I think. Well, track top. Oh, yeah. Can I make the camera go? I was a little bit late for that grade crossing. That's what happens when we hop out of the cab and don't look what we're doing. We're up to 110 miles an hour, still at full power, heading towards Cunnington up fast reverse. And I'll repeat, as I tend to on pretty much every scenario that I run, either the Brighton Main Line or the ECML, that up and down refer to directions to or from the center of the system, which in this case is London, rather than north or south. So we're going south from Peterborough towards London's King's Cross, but we're going up because London is considered the center. And then down on the ECML would be towards Peterborough, even north. And as I always say, the London to Brighton line makes it a little bit more obvious. Well, it's a little bit clearer. You don't have to remember which is which, because, yes, I hear you. AWS said we're okay. Because it goes south away from London, which is down, and up or north towards London. But I suppose that's a little bit misleading, because it could make you think that up is north and down is south, which it isn't necessarily. Oh man, 1 minute behind. I hope that that's you rather than me, because that's pretty terrible. I'm glad you're listening to the stream while you're doing homework. I have mentioned in the past, I'm sure, that before I started making my own train simulator streams, and before I started making my own train simulator videos for that matter, I would watch train simulator videos while I did my own homework and my programming work. Solely pretty much from Moleman978, who I should also mention, I'm happy to see has a new computer, has a similar graphics card now to the one I have in my own computer, a powerful modern graphics card, and it seems like it's ready to start his streams again. It's, you know, sometimes a little bit demotivating to compare video view counts, but he certainly does make amazing videos and has built up quite the viewership, and he completely deserves that. So I doff my proverbial hat to him for that, and I only hope that more train lovers find their way to my channel as well in the future, and that I can keep producing excellent videos for y'all. And hopefully we'll get more of the Chematech gang to show up later tonight. I posted on Twitter that I was going to be streaming this evening, so if you're here from Twitter, feel free to let me know. I'd like to know if I should keep notifying people that my streams are going to be up on Twitter, or if that's just a dilution of the people who follow me on Twitter, if people don't actually find the stream from there. Ding, says AWS. So we are roaming along at 121 miles an hour towards Stevenage in 35.5 miles. And we have a total of about 75 miles to go today on the East Coast Main Line. The first 45 miles to Stevenage, and the rest from Stevenage to King's Cross. And we will be waving at all the little stations that we pass by in the meantime. We will certainly not be stopping on our express service. What else shall we talk about? Oh, right, I was saying Amtrak has all these videos, so good for them. I hope they get the federal funding that I assume those videos are aimed to get them for rolling stock, stations, track upgrades, and portal bridge, etc. Oh, and of course for the new North Hudson Tunnel under the Hudson River to relieve a major bottleneck for rail service in the Northeast at New York. And we are just about to hit 125 miles an hour, so I'm going to power us down to 80% and hope that does the trick. I'm also going to stick my head out of our train so we can enjoy just how pretty it is there for a minute, especially for those of you who are just joining us. Oh man, look at that. With a snow streaming past. I love it. I love it. I'm a sucker for maroon and gold. I'm sure many of you know that. Look at that. Must be getting towards sunset too on this wintry evening, afternoon rather, at 3:11 p.m. And we are still up at 125, so I'm going to step us down to 60% acceleration, especially as we start speeding here. Interestingly, Train Simulator lets us go up to X.9 miles an hour. Hello, HST, in most cases, like 30.9 miles an hour in a 30 mile an hour zone. But with the HST going 125 miles an hour, it limits us to no more than like 125.5 miles an hour. I'm not sure what that's about. Let's see if that'll do the trick. If we were doing a career scenario, I'd be much more enthusiastic about the braking because I would want to make sure we did not lose points. But this is a standard scenario that I put together based on one from the workshop to allow our CPRR HST high-speed train to take the place of the standard ECML HST that usually runs this route. So, thank you to the original creator of that workshop scenario, whose name I unfortunately do not remember. If I find the scenario, I will put it in the description of this video. So I want to return to the fact that this is my 30th Train Simulator 2017 episode, and there have also been 4 Train Simulator World episodes that I posted on YouTube. So this is my 34th, going to be my 34th public train video, with a few more, I think maybe 3 extra streams in there that I never published because I didn't feel that they were quite up to the standard of quality I like to set for my channel on YouTube. Also, if you are seeing this CPRR HST for the first time, actually let's go to the tail of this train so we can enjoy it from there, so we're still facing the right direction, and you're curious how to create your own reskins and repaints. I know that it's an unfortunately challenging thing to do. I discovered that when I was first creating, we're into 120. the CPRR1 prototype. I missed a grade crossing there, I apologize. So it is very poorly documented, especially with all the latest tools and plugins. So episode 29 on my Train Simulator 2017 series, which you can find from my YouTube channel, has a full 38-minute tutorial. Well, it's like 30 minutes of tutorial and 8 minutes of driving a train. The train that I created shows you how you can create your own reskins and repaints, hopefully relatively easily. I aim to make it as straightforward as possible. Still going a little bit under the speed limit, and we have a very tight timetable to keep today. This scenario is set to require that we get 96% performance. So we need to do 196%. We have to do 96% as well as a perfect AI would do in the same situation. And we just crossed into a 125, so let's go to full power. These are the fastest trains in the Western world. Sadly, that's about, well, no, west of England. Certainly faster than, as fast as the fastest trains in the US. With the advent of the Class 801s, maybe not the fastest trains in England anymore. I'm not sure how fast they're going to let the Class 801s run. I don't believe it's faster than 125, but that would be pretty cool if they did. Also, I'm keeping an eye on our signals. We have had greens all the way, but that little warning at the beginning of the scenario made me worry that we were going to run into something a little bit more restrictive along the way, like end up right behind another train, for example, or have some kind of unexpected failure happen that we need to deal with, like a broken down train somewhere along the way. And we have made our way through. I didn't actually catch what that station was. I should know by now. I have driven so much on the ECML. I suspect the ECML is still my most driven Train Simulator 2017 route, even more so than New York to New Haven, which is probably my second most driven route. Good stuff, good stuff. Alright, it's getting quite snowy here, especially as dusk unfortunately falls at like 3 o'clock, which is ridiculous. It's starting to get darker earlier here in the real world, and I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all. I wish we had permanent daylight savings time, basically. It doesn't really make sense to me that we fall back to not having daylight savings time in the winter, because I feel like that's when we need the extra daylight the most. Hell, I would almost prefer we had no extra daylight savings in the summer and yes, daylight savings in the winter. How do you guys feel about daylight savings time? If there's people here to comment as we go. I notice you all have been pretty quiet, so I expect that either I was a little early for most of my viewers this evening, that you guys mostly tend to show up a little bit later in the evening, or that everybody's just being pretty quiet today. Oh yes. Actually, let's go into our 8 camera and pause. I think I'm a little too late here, unfortunately. I was going to try to get simultaneous HST action. I'll have to wait for the next HST that passes us. That's a pretty good place to start, though. Yes. Screenshot and continue. It's the sound a train makes. I don't know if you knew that. We're almost up at that 125, so let's preemptively step down to 60% throttle. Alright, very nice. Very nice indeed. Hello, 365 on the slow lines. We are, of course, on the fast lines. And we're speeding, even though we're at 60% throttle. Let's go down to 40%. Actually, let's go down to 20. Wait till we get, fine, 0%. Wait till we stop speeding. And then, oh, that was a grade crossing. I was staring at my speedometer and not at the grade crossings. Go to 40% throttle and see how that does for us. It is nice to get to go 125 miles an hour. It's not often that happens. Not often indeed. Green signal. Whistleblower. As I said, I'm operating by U.S. whistle board rules. I know I should not be doing so. But that is okay. See if we can get a screenshot with this 365 we're running up to. Yeah, there we go. Very nice. And we've got a little piece of snow that's flying and stuck in the air there. Look at that. Huh, fascinating. All right. Train buddies. We are going much faster than they are. I love it. Ooh, we've got another HST coming, I think. Or the 365 on the fast lines. That's a 365 on the fast lines. A slightly longer train, of course, than the trains on the slow lines, which tend to only be 4 cars. As I was mentioning earlier, I do wish that they would release an updated version of this route with AI that was up to the current state of things, because I would like to see what the ECML is like these days. I was talking to 2 friends of mine, 2 fellow startup co-founders, in fact, who have spent much time in England. One of them is from southeast England, southwest England, I should say, relatively near London. The other is not, but has spent a great deal of time there. And I was talking about the 2-week or 1-month-long rail passes that you can get that basically let you wander all over the country on the various rail lines and systems, and how much I would enjoy that if and when I ever get to go spend some time in England, which I hope will be soon. I hope it'll be at latest within the next year, and you can certainly expect lots of interesting videos on my channel from that. From videos of me riding actual trains and taking videos of actual trains, to hopefully trying to drive some of the trains that I have driven here in Train Simulator while I ride those trains. I mentioned a couple of months ago, I think it was a month and a half ago, maybe, that I saw a very popular video on Reddit, unfortunately. Well, I say unfortunately because somebody had done what I've been meaning to do for probably close to a year now, of film myself driving a train in Train Simulator while riding the same train. His was just like a 15-second video, but I want to do a full-length video, or 2 or 3 or 4. Unfortunately, my laptop right now is not being super thrilled with Train Sim 2017, so I need to fix that before I can actually do that. Full throttle again as we go back up towards 125 miles an hour. And we are passing through Biggleswade, which is a great name for a town and a station. Biggleswade. With 13 miles to Stevenage, I will make very sure that I do not roar through Stevenage like one of my earlier videos. One of my very first videos, I nearly ran entirely, well, I did, completely bypass Stevenage, lost tons of points in a career scenario, tried to slow down. I stopped like a mile after Stevenage. I ended up just redoing the video from scratch, for better or worse, because I had not saved in the middle. Let's try not to do anything quite so egregious today. That will be our goal. Oh, there was a second grade crossing there. My mistake. I love the little bits of lag as Train Simulator loads up the next section, especially often at 125 miles an hour. One day I will decide to spend the money on getting a big 2+ terabyte SSD to store my Train Simulator 2017 content on. If you'll excuse me a minute, I think I saw some planes flying. I did? Question mark? I really thought I saw some planes flying above us, but I don't see them now. Weird. Weird indeed. Well, back to our train, I suppose. "11 miles till Stevenage. AWS says ding, and everything is going smoothly. Just a few little instances of being 2 or 3 miles over the speed limit. Nothing we would get penalized for in the real world, I suspect. Let's see, also since my last video, I unfortunately have not gotten to do more playing with big trains. Actually, I should double check when my last video was. So 1 week ago, I published my TSW misadventures. Previously, right before that, I had done my HST drag rescue train. And I have to admit that I don't remember if that was before or after I went to play with the big trains. I believe, I'm about to start speeding, that it was after. But anyway, I got to do some putting up of catenary wire last weekend. Spending some time, for example, cutting in a knife switch, working with live 600 volt wires was fun. It was safer for us to work with live 600 volt DC wires than to, leave half powered and half grounded. I should not try to sound the horn and talk at the same time while also watching the speed and the signals. Because when all the wires are 600 volts, you know that you are not going to bridge 600 volts and ground and be a conductor between those two potentials. If everything's at 600 volts, there's a potential difference of 0 everywhere. Hello there, Pieman. Good to have you with me this evening on Train Simulator. I promised Elf Prince 13 that I would say it that way, that I would start the video with, "Hey, I'm KermMartian here with Train Simulator." It's a bit of an inside joke, but I think it fits the channel well, especially with my emulation of people who shout loudly about things. So there we go. There we go indeed. Other things that I did were help to drive the car that we were using for this catenary work. It is an all-wood trolley cable repair car. It is all wood because if the car is wood and all the wires are at 600 volts, then you definitely are not going to accidentally ground yourself. And I also got to briefly drive a low-V New York City subway train that we were moving from one part of where I was doing this train stuff to another. Yeah, it was a fun day of hard work and trains. And although I wasn't able to go there this weekend because of weather and other circumstances, I'm hoping to be able to go there next weekend. So I will, of course, bring along all of my stories next time for my next stream, if I do indeed go there this weekend. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, you should, because I tend to post photos of my adventures. That's twitter.com/KermMartian, KermMartian. That's like a Kerm that is from Mars. And we are now just 5 miles from Stevenage. Yes, that is why... Hello, HST. That is why we kept everything at 600 volts. Slightly counterintuitively, we could not take away all the power. I mean, it's not unintuitive that we couldn't take away all the power. They were doing stuff there that required some trolleys to be running right next to us while we did our catenary work. Catenary, if you prefer. I don't, but you can if you like. I won't judge you. Let's get a nice screenshot here. Beautiful. And onwards. Beautiful CPRR livery, which I need, I think, almost to start slowing. Is this hitching? I feel like this is hitching. It looks like it says hitching, doesn't it? It's hard to see between... Oh man, this is challenging. Yes, hitching. Okay, sorry. I had to double check. It was very important. I needed to make sure I was correct. So we have throttled off. I think it's time to start applying a little bit of brake. And that's probably and not quite yet. Let's wait until we're 2 miles out. So I've had this problem mostly in Train Sim World more than Train Sim 2017, where I vastly overestimated the stopping power of the HST, the Class 43, and ended up just whizzing past stations. We're not going to do that today. We're not going to do that at all. We are losing speed pretty nicely, just idling, essentially. And I have to remember to call things like wrenches instead of spanners and stuff like that, because between watching lots of Top Gear and watching lots of train sim videos made by people who are British and reading things written by people who are British, and watching Doctor Who, I tend to get a little too much of my colloquial speech mixed up with British vocabulary instead of American English vocabulary. Not that that's bad, but I think sometimes if you do it unintentionally, people might think you're being a bit of a ponce. And I wouldn't want that. Wouldn't want people to think I'm doing it just to look smart. I do kind of prefer a lot of British slang and such to their American equivalents, but there we go. Got another 365 coming up as we ease down the speed to get towards Stevenage, which is going to be our first major stop here after we picked up our initial passengers at Peterborough. Although I think it's probably safe to assume that some of our passengers had come from points north, like York, for example. Down to 65. I think I'm going to give us a little bit more speed, actually, because we have to be there at 15:28, and we're currently forecasted to be 23 seconds late. And because, as I mentioned, I continue to make this scenario require that we get 96% perfection, so do this at least 96% as well as an AI doing it perfectly would. I think it would be important to try to do so. Alright, now we need to really slow down. Put ourselves into full service braking. And let's try to enter the station at about 35 miles an hour. I'm going to try to look at the station instead of the speedometer, so I don't keep training myself to just do it by the speedometer. I want to get a better, just intuitive sense of how fast I should be going when I enter stations and how well I'm able to stop. This seems reasonable. If maybe a little too enthusiastic even. Because our whole train is definitely not in the station yet. You can see that on the HUD. We have quite a long train today, 10 total cars including the 2 power cars. Oops, not quite, almost. And there we go. Let's go to full service. Alright. Hello HST, and doors are open. So here we are at Stevenage. And while we're here, I think it's de rigueur that we take a look at our train, because I think I should spend a little bit more time telling you about this Repaint reskin, especially for those of you who are not here for my stream last week, or those who did not watch my video about repainting and reskinning. Get out of the way, Society. There we go. Screenshot. Very good. I'm going to free my camera so we can walk around. So this is the power car. This is guard brake coach A, guard brake coach B, second class C, second class D. I hope I'm getting these right. I don't remember what E is. I don't remember what F is. K is our kitchen car. Got our little snack bar in there. L is first class. You can see that there with the first class badge. And the last car is our trailing power car, the non-driver power car. And you can see the whole thing has been painted up in CPRR livery, which is black on the top, gold stripe along that top edge, black in the middle, gold stripe near the bottom, and then maroon on the bottom. And you can see also, and this took me so much to do, that we have CPRR Central Park Railroad there on the side. We have clearance to go. We have a green signal. Our guard has given us the okay, so let us go. Not sure why we're not actually going. What have I forgotten? We're not in forward for some reason. I'm not sure why we're not in forward. Why I can't go into forward. Hello? Please stand by while I try to figure out what Train Simulator is up to. Alright, we're back. Let's see if we can get ourselves into forward now. We can. Weird. Yep. Put ourselves into forward. No brakes. Off we go! And I think we need to do a drive-by. Full power! Yeah! Watch our train go by. All 10 cars of it. And we can go straight up to that 125-mile-an-hour mark. I really, really, really like maroon, gold, and black. I'm pretty confident that that actually is the color scheme that I'm going to want for the real CPRR1, if and when I can get it built. And that color scheme will look very much like what I have on the power cars of the HST. So I was just saying that Comic should definitely have known that I was streaming. Whoa, this is 85 miles an hour. I must be... Sorry. Oh, 35 miles an hour. Huh. I was going to say, what? How did that happen? How's it going this evening, other Comic? So yeah, you should have gotten a notification from YouTube that I was streaming. I'm disappointed they didn't let you know. But of course, I also let people know on our Chematech IRC channel and SACS channel, which is our in-page, in-website SACS IRC connected chat clients. I posted on Twitter. You should all be following me on Twitter. I mentioned that earlier. It's just Twitter / my username. And of course, you should follow me on Twitch and YouTube as well. Not because of any reason other than I love having you guys around for the streams. It makes it a lot more fun when you guys have commentary to provide. Yes, I actually spent a lot of time on the skin, and I want to talk about that now, as long as we've cleared up all the little things from the chat. Free Twitch Prime sub. Why do you need... Why... I'm pretty sure you should be able to subscribe to me without using anything that's not totally free. Huh. I guess the Hogwarts Express does have a similar color scheme. I didn't even think of that. Oh, look at this. Look at the sun there. Yes. 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 Screenshots for days. Sorry, I got excited about that. But really, that looks great. Look at the sun on that. So, among other things, I figured out, number one, how to edit Train Simulator 2017 geometry. Now, what I did was extraordinarily rudimentary. All I did was figure out where the polygon, so there was a GWR, Great Western Railway logo on the side of this train, right about where the CPRR logo is. I figured out how to edit the file that's used for the geometry of the power car, figure out which of the polygons referred to the one used for the GWR logo. So unfortunately, instead of just having like a rectangular piece of geometry that they put the logo texture onto, they actually had the shapes of the letters G, W, and R with the texture mapped specifically onto that, which was really annoying because if you tried to put your own logo on it, it would just be your own logo kind of cut out by like a stencil that said GWR, so you could still see that said GWR. So what I did was figure out how to remove that, and then I put a CPRR logo on the side here. Unfortunately, that means that it's lower resolution. If you zoom in, you can see that it's pixelated. Oh, and we're going through another train. But it does the trick. I'm pretty happy with how it is. And because the HST uses two different textures for the left and right sides, the text is the correct way around on both sides, and also on the front. You can see the pixelation a little bit clearer on the front, unfortunately, because the logo is smaller. I was also able to, see if I can move back far enough that you can see it. On the side here where I have CPRR and Central Park Railroad, I was able to use the higher resolution texture image for those, so they don't look as bad on the coaches here. Because it said Great Western Railway, and Great is a shorter word than Central, and Park is a shorter word than Western. Oops, let's go into our train. So that's why Central Park Railroad is spaced out kind of weirdly the way it is. It stands for the Central Park Railroad, and hopefully that is clear now. Oh, people give money to subscribe. I wonder what that's for. Does that mean I get money? Do people get money for streaming on Twitch? I guess they probably do. I'm only familiar with monetization via like YouTube video ads and I suppose Patreon, based on my ardent viewing of Alt-Shift-X and Alt-Shift-X's excellent Game of Thrones videos. If you love Game of Thrones, you should watch Alt-Shift-X's videos, because they're amazing. Where are we now? Can't see it. Can we zoom in? Welland North. That makes sense. Welland North it is. So, I was talking about the repaint. So I figured out how to remove that logo on the side. That was nice. I also completed the reskin, so when I showed this on my stream, I was just playing with the side of the train, trying to get the side of the train colored a bit, just so I could show the basic concepts. The front of the train being skinned is new from there. I even got things like the back of the train. You can see where the yellow, maroon, and black extends into the back of the train. And let's watch the throttle, because we're still in a 115. We're almost there. Also, we have 20 miles till King's Cross. And I did the same for the coaches. So you can see the coaches are also colored the same way. The only thing I will show you a secret, the texture that I made for the ends of the cars doesn't seem to have come through properly. So you can see that there's an orange that's the wrong color here, abutting the gold. Also, I think we're passing through Welland Garden City. I'm going to call that correct. Welland Garden City, hello. And then other than that, yep, we have just a nice train. I had to explicitly change 5 or so different textures in order to get it put together. Some of them were pretty similar, like the texture for the first class cars and the remaining cars was pretty similar. The kitchen car was a little bit different because the windows are a little bit smaller near where the snack booth, no. Snack counter, I like snack counter, where the snack counter is. But all in all, it was pretty fun. I think I probably spent a total of about maybe 10 hours total, including 2 hours when I did my stream, and then an additional 1 hour to put together the actual video that I posted on YouTube, and another 7 hours yesterday in between all my other work while I edited the skin. Man, you are lame, comic, but I hope you have a good sleep. Also, let me tell you a little bit more about the Central Park Railroad while I'm at it. If I've finished everything about the skinning. I think that's about it. So it's a complicated process. It requires many different tools. You can do it with the GIMP image editor, but you need plugins and other tools. I do recommend you go watch that video, which is episode 29 on my channel, my Train Simulator 2017 playlist, specifically right before this video if you're watching it on YouTube, because it's really cool to make your own reskin trains into whatever you want, and I hope you do so. And I'll periodically keep popping my camera outside to both admire my train and show those of you who are showing up for the first time in the stream just what this train looks like. I think it's pretty snazzy. You can expect many more HST in CPRR livery videos on my channel, I'm sure. It is 3:38 p.m., so we've been driving for about 40 minutes now, and 16 and a half miles to King's Cross. We're scheduled to get there at 3:55 p.m. Another HST there. Let's see how I can do on the time here. Ah, too late. Way too late. No screenshots for us. That's okay. We've gotten plenty. A little bit more throttle, I think, so we can stay up at speed and get to King's Cross on time. The black looks weird. Let's take a look at what you're talking about. Yes, the black does look weird. That I'm somewhat okay with. It's like a an unpainted grayish dirty metal, kind of a more matte color than the shiny black along the sides. You'll notice that's what's on the top of the trains as well, like where these grills are, where the back of the power car, kind of the roof here, meets the shiny black that's been painted. I'm inclined to tell myself that that's probably a reasonable assumption, that maybe that would be less painted or painted with a different kind of paint, especially if it gets hot there, or if they don't want to, spend the time and effort trying to paint the ends here, especially where they have all the stickers. But that could be just a cop-out. I don't know. What do you guys think? Also, we're not getting told we're speeding. We must have been just barely speeding. There we go. There's us. Let's see if we can get a trackside. Oh yeah, there we go. That's brilliant. Sorry, I'm really admiring this, not because it's my work, but because I love trains in nice liveries, and I happen to think this is one. I'm also extremely fond of the GWR, like dark forest green livery, the one that is currently on the Class 43s and the Class 801s on the GWR. GWML, I suppose I should say. So the Central Park Railroad. The Central Park Railroad, or CPRR, is something that I first came up with when I was a wee lad, probably single digits, certainly, probably around 5 or 6 years old. It was probably before that, maybe even 4 or 5. AWS is ringing. We have a double amber. Let us get our speed off. We had that warning at the beginning. It might just be telling us about the 100-mile-an-hour zone. I suspect that's it. I'm going to risk it, because following a double amber would be a single amber if we still need to slow down. And there's a single amber there, so let's keep slowing down. AWS is still going off. Is that a single? No, that's a double. So we're probably trailing another train. I am going to be cautious here so everything doesn't go nuts. So the CPRR, name notwithstanding, Central Park is of course the main park in Manhattan in New York City, was meant to be a worldwide railroad, spanning first New York, and then the US, and then the whole world. A system of long-distance trains, medium-distance commuter trains, short-distance subway and light rail trains. I worked out rolling stock, I worked out fare cards, I worked out standardized yard layouts, I worked out signaling, timetables, the whole lot. We're still getting AWS, and we are braking pretty heavily with a double amber there. Interesting, very interesting. Now we're rapidly losing time to get to King's Cross, so I'm gonna put us up to speed a little bit, especially since we haven't hit a single amber yet, because I don't want to quote-unquote fail this scenario. Of course, I'm not in serious danger of that because we're not getting scored on this, but I still don't want to spad. Spadding is an instant loss, and that would be bad, especially after 44 minutes of driving. And I don't want to crash into the back of another train, because that would be bad too. Different kind of paint theory, exactly. This one's not about primary and secondary colors. This one's just about laziness and heat. Heat and cost effectiveness, not laziness. Never laziness, never. So I was very fond of it, and part of that was, of course, I was very interested in having my own private train car, because as a train kid, I don't know if you guys were train kids, I don't know if this occurred to you as well, maybe it was just me, but I really liked the idea of having a private train car that I could drive around the CPRR. CPRR 1, so that is why you have seen CPRR 1 in some of my other videos, if you have seen it. That is my private train car, which is meant to be a nice classic, like Pullman style private train car, with a little bit of the space sacrificed to make it a locomotive as well. So 10 feet in the front that are a cab with a nice sloped nose, like, shaped somewhat like the Class 801s or their ilk. A little bit more rounded than the squared off nose of the Class 43 that we have here today. So this wouldn't be a good... Oh, now we have a single yellow. So now we need to do some braking. Serious braking. Oh, not emergency braking, no. Sorry. Full service braking. Because that might be a red in half a mile. That might indeed. That's a definite danger. see what we got up there. And then the next 10 feet taken up by diesel engines. That looks like a yellow, so I'm going to release the brakes and put on some power. Hello, HST. And I've maintained various versions of it over the years, so like the very, very first original one was like 240 or 50, I think they were 40-foot sections connected by an articulated little accordion. Is that a single amber? That's a single amber. And then the newer version, which is what I have today, is about 80 feet long. 30, 20, 24, 26, about 26 meters long. Yeah, 24 or 26 meters long for you Europeans. Let's see what we have ahead. I want to be cautious here, especially going into a curve. I'm going to play this the way a real train driver would, which is cautiously, because going through a red signal is the worst thing you can do. Still yellow there. All right. And it's double. Nope. Still, yes, double. Okay. Power! Speed! Hey, James Wolf. Good to have you with us. This is Comac57 for those of you who don't keep track of Chematech username combinations like my brain seems to have. So I've continued to stick with that over the years. I made a CAD version of it in college as part of my AutoCAD class. A very detailed interior, exterior, and mechanical version of CPRR1 in AutoCAD that I published on Chematech 2 as well. And now with Train Simulator, I am happy to have versions of both CPRR1, and now, since I was doing a repaint tutorial, it seemed very logical that I want to repaint some trains into the CPRR livery. So we have, a red? No, that's a taillights of a train. Taillights of a train, nothing to be worried about. We have, in fact, green, so we can go to full power. And we are, I kind of muddled the word go there, I apologize. Now we're estimated to be 12 seconds early, so that's awesome. See if we can place ourselves beside the tracks, if the camera will cooperate. No. That's a road. So you'll put me inside a road, but you won't put me next to the tracks. Train Simulator, you are the bane of my existence. Very peaceful falling in the snow. I like that. I like that a lot. I might have to do another train meditation video. It didn't get a ton of views, so I don't know how much other people like train meditation, but I thought that was a pretty fun video to make. Just driving silently in the snow along the London to Brighton line, the Brighton main line. Ooh, and it just switched over into nighttime. And we have just 6.5 miles left till King's Cross to boot. We also have a 95 coming up, so... Oh, actually, we're at 78 miles an hour, so we can keep the full power on. We might have a yellow coming up. Where is that? Nope, that's for the slow line. We have a green. Very good. So that bell every once in a while, every time I go over an AWS ramp, is the equivalent of the little ding that I usually get for AWS. Here we go into the 95. I will point out the AWS ramps when we go past them. So the East Coast Main Line has both AWS, which just tells you if there's a yellow signal ahead or a speed reduction, and TPWS, which will actively tell you if you are speeding, and if so, slow you down. So TPWS, that was an AWS ramp, but it was in the dark. I'll tell you the next one. TPWS allows you to measure the time it takes to go from one TPWS antenna to another, and by speed equals distance over time, you can calculate how fast you're going. There's two TP, here's an AWS, there's the ding. The ding means okay. If it goes into a warning signal, there's a TPWS, and we're speeding. if you go over an AWS ramp that activates the AWS system, then we get the TPWS antenna, AWS ramp. Then you get a different sound that you have to explicitly cancel and then do what it says. Like if it's telling you about a speed reduction, you have to start reducing speed. If it's just warning you about a yellow light, you have to at least acknowledge it and at worst reduce speed. There's another AWS ramp. So that is why sometimes in my videos I say ding right before the train says ding, because I spot the AWS ramps and I know we're going to get dinged by the AWS system. No, I have a very, very powerful graphics card, 5 monitors, and a powerful computer. This is about as well as the game can do. With one caveat, it should be able to do better anti-aliasing than this, and I don't know why it's not. I don't know why it's not indeed. However, if you go look at some of my train simulator world videos, you'll notice there's the AWS alert. That's telling me that we're coming up to an 80 mile an hour zone after this 90 zone. And then that low beep afterwards is unique to the HST. As far as I know, that just means that we've successfully cleared AWS. There's 2 TPWS antennas and an AWS ramp. So check out my Train Sim World videos, because I remain extremely impressed in those videos of just how good the graphics are in Train Sim World, and I plan to play much more of that in the future on my channel, especially as they bring more routes to Train Sim World. Another TPWS antenna, another AWS ramp. It says ding, but we really do need to get the speed down for the 80. And we have done so. Ooh, and then we have a 65, so let's go to 57% braking. 73, 72, 71, 70, 69, 68, 67, and we should be good. That was just Finsbury Park, which means we are in the home stretch to London's King's Cross in just 2 miles. 2 miles to go. We're on the approach. It does sound like a trolley bell. And I believe that I shall ring the bell. Next up is the 60 zone, so we're starting to go down a hill and pick up a little speed. So let's put on some braking to just feather ourselves right under that 60 mile an hour zone. 61.5. Repeater says we're cleared through. And you can see the end of our scenario now as we wait for my hard drive to load the next section. Down for the 60. Very nice. Very nice. Next up will be a 45 zone. I'm going to have to apply a little bit more braking for that. 28% should do it. 57. 56. 55. 53. And we are going to be on time, says the ETA. Rapidly dropping, as a matter of fact. 50 miles an hour. 49. I might not be down in time. Nope, I will. 48, 47, 46, and 45. I'm going to just lay off the brakes. Nope, I'm not, because then I'm going to start speeding up. We are in graduated self-lap. We have the double amber, so we are clear to the end of the platform. Cleared into King's Cross Platform 3. That's a single amber, excuse me, so we might not be cleared into the platform. We also need to get down to this 15, so we're going to apply 57% braking. Oh, that would be awesome. Thank you, James Wolf. Oh, more. More. All right, we're good. You might need to press tab for King's Cross. Might I now? What color is our light there? Why are we stopping? Ah. I put on more brake, not less brake. No, I don't like that either. They have that on the ACS64, and that is the only thing I don't like about the ACS64. That really bothers me. I don't have to tab my way into King's Cross. I am pressing tab, but I am cleared. And I'm speeding now. When am I not speeding? Speed! I'll leave myself at 14% braking, because there's an incline going down into King's Cross, and I don't want to let the weight of my train behind me speed me up. I wish they just had a real bell. I mean, come on, guys. How much extra expense would it be to add a real bell to a $1 million plus locomotive? Now I'm going to lay off the brakes and put on a little bit of throttle, just a little bit. Because although we're here super, super early, I still would like our passengers to be able to get where they're going as soon as possible. Here comes our train. Here at King's Cross. I will certainly do so, James Wolfe. Thank you. I appreciate it. Here's our train. Huzzah! A little bit of braking, I think, as we near the end of the platform. A little bit more braking, I think. A little bit less braking. Or we could just stop right there. That seems reasonable. 1 mile an hour? No miles an hour. And doors open. Doors are open. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to London's King's Cross. This is the last and final station for this King's Cross bound service. Thank you for riding the Central Park Railroad, and we hope you will rejoin us soon. Looks like our passengers are off to work now. Some of them didn't get the message that this is the last stop. They're still riding our train. They shouldn't do that. If I press 5, you'll see this in slightly better quality. There we go. I can't seem to switch seats, oddly enough. They snap in a better quality version with more polygons when you actually go into passenger view. No use wasting all those polygons and textures when you're just driving. Similarly, if you hop out of the train, the cab is no longer in as high detail. So I must say that that was a pretty successful scenario today. We ran no reds, we ran way over no speed limits. We mostly rang our horn sounded our horn rather. Well done, you have completed this scenario successfully. Huzzah, huzzah and hooray. We sounded our horn properly for grade crossings and everything went pretty well. No current destination, so we don't get graded on this because it's not a career scenario. Yeah, they all walk pretty weird. They kind of mince their steps. There we go. So we stopped at 0 out of 0 destinations. We picked up passengers at 3 out of 3 platforms. We sped 8 times, improper horn use once. That must have been when I just sounded my horn to say hello. And we spent 56 minutes and 23 seconds in the HST. We went a total of 122 kilometers or 76 miles. So that was very fun. I'm sad that you guys are joining me right at the end, right when I'm finished. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to call it a night for tonight. I was just going to do that one scenario tonight. The question I have for you guys is, I would like feedback on creating a more regular schedule for my train simulator streams. Say once or twice a week at a regular time. Maybe once a week with the option for a bonus stream. Monday nights happen to be pretty good for me. I teach on Monday nights. And when I finish my class, it's often a good time to munch on some dinner and then do a train simulator stream to unwind a little bit. Friday evenings also tend to be pretty good. So, for example, if we could do, Friday evenings with an optional Monday evening, or Monday evenings with an optional Friday evening, for example, maybe Monday evenings with an optional Friday evening, I would be interested in that. But please do let me know, either in the chat right here or because I'm about to say goodnight to you guys, in the comments. As always, I appreciate everybody who's joined me either during the stream or watching these videos later. I encourage you to do those 3 things that, YouTubers always recommend that you do. As well as please do consider following me on Twitch. I'm trying to judge, actually, since I'm simulcasting now using Restreamio on both YouTube and Twitch, whether it's worthwhile for me to continue doing so, or whether, either one of those services doesn't really garner too many people watching it. Yeah. Oh, also please do follow me on Twitter if that's the way you would like to find out when I'm going to stream. And if you do, please feel free to let me know that that's why you're following me, so I know that I should post on Twitter. Anyway, thanks again for joining. I look forward to continuing this discussion because it looks like it's a good one in either Chematech Sax or on the Chematech forum, where I've been meaning to post a little bit more about my train adventures, both train simulator and my real life train adventures. Yes, that is true. However, there are some outstanding YouTubers, like there's one that I've talked about a lot, Moleman978, whose videos I have enjoyed over the years and who is now, I believe, pushing 20,000 subscribers just for trains. I do tend to get many more viewers on my calculator videos, which is fine. I love teaching calculators and programming, but I think it's just an interesting dynamic. Anyway, let's pick this up later. Thank you all for joining me, and I hope you have an awesome evening. Good night.